You've yet to do anything about it?
Yeah, because why?
That's
At
fair.
least I didn't realize it would look like this. Look like some mysterious person on a phone call.
Expect you to start giving me some weird intel.
Right? Slowly dole it out to you over the course of this episode.
Yep.
Save stories. How you doing this week?
I'm good. I don't have anything saved.
You good?
How you doing,
I'm
huh?
all right.
Huh?
I'm all right.
Alright.
You know,
You
it
know.
is how it is. It's my first day of my second 2 weeks off here.
Hell yeah, dog.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like I only saved 3 things this week. Actually, 2 of them are about Fallout anyway. Still haven't finished it yet. Only watched the first 2 episodes.
Piece of shit.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch more today, tomorrow, and then over the course of the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, if you can't
It's only
finish
8 episodes long, right? So
Yeah.
I've got only 6 episodes left.
Yeah, I was like, if you can't finish 6 episodes in the next 2 weeks, you are doing things wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of things wrong. What is this? What was this one? Oh. So the first one that I have, I have to remember what it was specifically, but it's a bit of an Easter egg in the game, in the show, that there's a phone number you can call.
Yep, I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Did you text it then?
Oh, no, you can text it?
You can text it, and that's the thing. So if you call it, and I'm trying to remember where it is. So in episode 6, Cold Open, we
Yep.
see a pre-apocalyptic. I can speak today, I swear. Cooper Howard recorded a Vault Tech commercial as a favor for his wife. At one point, he instructs the viewer at home to call 213-25-VAULT, or that's 213-258-2858. If you actually call it, then you hear screams, if I recall right. The screams are supposedly maybe like as the bombs dropped, is when they were recording the message, and then blah, blah, blah. That's whatever it is. However, fans of the show found that if you text the number, then you get a cryptic response back that says, thank you for texting Vault Tech. The next available appointment is 33 weeks from now. Please stand by. Fans then did basically the math of it. If you go 33 weeks from April 10th, which is the day that Fallout premiered, it's Wednesday, November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving. So they're wondering if maybe a special event will occur then or be announced then. Maybe they'll do like a holiday episode or something like that, is what some people were speculating it looked like. But it's kind of cool. So it's one of those things we're going to have to now wait and see what happens with this. Did you get the text back?
Yeah, I was reading something else that popped up because I had looked up the number again. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much it for that. So it'll be interesting to see what it is and what happens. I think it'd be kind of cool if they did a holiday episode. Kind of get back into that weirdness. The only show that I think that does like a holiday episode anymore is Doctor Who. No one else really does holiday specials anymore.
Yeah, not really. Oh, you can sign up for a community link.
Oh, really? It also text you about a community link?
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever used Community before, but it's
I've only seen a few episodes of the show.
no, it's not that show.
Not that Community?
No, so basically it's like a mobile promotional thing you can do, and what happens when you do it, you sign up for it and you basically save a contact and you get a thing basically like this.
Oh, okay.
And they send you a lot of times it's movie updates like, hey, here's the newest trailer for this or whatever. Sometimes it's like contests to win things, early access to whatever, little things like that. So the text says, thank you for texting Vault Tech. The next available appointment is 33 weeks from now. Please stand by. Reply Y to get recurring marketing and other texts from Fallout and agree to community terms and conditions, blah, blah, blah. So I said Y, got the contact info. Says, congratulations, we may or may not be in touch if an appointment becomes available.
Okay. So, yeah, it just sounds like maybe they'll let you know via that. Once the 33 weeks is up and see what happens there.
Yeah, I often look for whenever I see phone numbers that are not a 555 in a TV show or something. I'll call it and
see what happens.
Yeah.
I've always thought about doing that, but whenever I see the numbers, I don't think about it. Especially in video games too. Like Cyberpunk has the same thing. If you find a phone number in Cyberpunk, at least within the game, you can find certain phones that you can use to call, and some of them have some funny messages on it. But I never think about it when I'm in the game. I'm just like playing and doing stuff. Let me think. What was the other Fallout thing I had here? Oh, it was officially renewed for season 2.
Yep.
Yeah. Not much more to say about that.
Which I'm pretty sure was going to happen anyways because of the critical and fan response to it has been astronomical. So
yeah, it's really good. Like I said, I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and from episode 1 I was hooked. Like, it's just that good. I loved the intro so much as well.
Oh yeah.
Because it basically starts with our main character, and I keep spacing out on her name. Ellie, sitting in front of that panel and going over her strength, intelligence, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh my God, that is Fallout. That is like how you start with your stats and stuff and pick and put points into things. And you're like, I'm just like, that's awesome. I love that they did that. And it's just so cool to see the bright cheeriness of this vault, and then when you finally get into the Wasteland and just the utter destruction and like it surprisingly it felt like I was still watching like HDR content on a non-HDR TV. I do have an OLED, so it does actually do colors and stuff pretty well, but it's surprisingly how good it looked. Like, I don't know, it's just weird watching it and seeing how good it looked and how good it sounded. It's to me, it's on that like Apple quality of like visualness, not just your standard like, I don't know, visuals and stuff and colors and pop and the way everything popped and looked.
They did an excellent job with it, and the borderline like cheesiness.
Yeah,
is definitely awesome in it.
Mm-hmm.
But the show is pretty brutal at certain points.
Oh yeah, I was surprised how far they went into how gory the show is, because the game is actually can be pretty gory.
Yeah,
especially when you get certain hits on enemies, you can blow limbs off, blow heads off, and stuff like that. A lot of times when they do that transition of game to show, they tend to cut a lot of that stuff out. But no, man, they leaned into it in the show, and lean into it hard.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
awesome.
I don't remember if it was the first episode or the second. It was the first episode. Yeah, the first episode where they meet the other vault, and they're supposed to marry. Our main character is getting married off to another guy from the other vault, but it ends up being a raider. Spoiler for the first episode. And once they find out, and once they find that out, and the raiders start attacking the facility, and you just see people die and left and right in just some of the most goriest ways possible. It's not overly done in the case that I still like it and still watch it, because I'm notorious for not liking gore for the sake of gore. But like it, you shoot a dude with a shotgun, he's gonna blow apart in pieces.
Yep.
Type of thing. They may go a little bit overboard with it, but like they're not holding things back. Yeah, so it's really good.
Um,
And I can't wait to see what happens in episode 3, because episode 2 leaves you with what's his name dying in the what's her name, the main character is on her way to found the that that cellar lady.
Yep.
Finds out where the raiders are that took her father. Has to take that one dude who got his foot blown off. The one dude from Lost that got his foot blown off, and now has a mechanical foot, but now he's still dying, and she has to chop his head off, and that's where it ends. And it was just like, oh my god, is she just gonna be carrying a decapitated head for the next episode? I don't know. I'm gonna find out. Also, didn't like that episode because the dog dies. Spoiler. I was upset about that because you see dogs in the trailers for the show. And so I was so hyped with seeing a main character dog, make it through the whole show. And after episode 2, they kill at least the only one that they've really introduced off. So pissed.
don't worry, buddy. It'll be okay.
I know. I'm sure they're going to introduce another one. I'm sure, right? Right?
Technically, they do not introduce another one.
God damn it. Hate it.
You'll be fine. Trust me.
All right, I guess.
You'll be perfectly okay.
While we're still on that subject, before we go on to anything else, you have obviously watched the whole show without going into too many spoilers. How did you enjoy it?
I loved it. It's cool because they, again, not spoiling anything, but they basically tell you all the things you never really find out about the bombs dropping.
Mm-hmm.
They explain it. And it gets, because there's almost a whole episode set beforehand.
Yeah, that was episode 1 or 2 or something like that.
No.
No?
Whole
like
episode.
A whole episode. Okay,
Yeah,
because there was an episode where it was like almost all flashbacks to introduce Walton Goggins' character,
The Ghoul.
the Ghoul. Yeah.
Yeah. There's more into that later on.
Okay.
And you get his backstory. And then you get some more. They dive into more of the Ghoul lore, which is pretty rad. Brotherhood of Steel gets ridiculous details and kind of story. Trying to remember in the second episode is when you meet, or you find out who's inside the suit that Maximus is with.
Yeah, that was the second episode because it's cool that they introduced the Brotherhood of Steel as this like really cool these guys are like the best of the best that wear the armor and this and that. They're such badasses. In fact, I think you end the first episode with his part where he gets on the I forgot what they call them, but the vertical takeoff birds, or whatever they call them, I can't remember. And the Brotherhood of Steel dude is just like this huge hulking thing that takes up most of the cabin there. And he's just sitting there, and the guy is trying to ask him questions, and he's just like being a complete asshole to him. And I think in the episode 2 is where we pick up with them in there, and the kid is asking about the armor, and the dude like takes his cod piece off and is just like, shine that. And it's just like, well, that's kind of being a real dick at this point. We're kind of slowly introducing that the Brotherhood of Steel guys probably aren't the nicest of actual people. Then he gets attacked by the radioactive bear later, and is just blaming the kid for everything that just happened, even though he's in this giant suit of fucking armor. And when he finally takes the helmet off and he's just bleeding out and just cursing the kid out, the kid's just like, I don't have to save you, and I'm going to take your armor. I was like, good call, kid, good call.
And it was Michael Rappaport.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, who was the I can't think of his name right now. Not Titus.
It was something like that. I think it began with a T.
Yeah, but I was like, oh shit, that's cool, because they have like cameos in the show. Like, I don't know if you noticed, the guy who basically unburied the ghoul played Bubba Gump from Forrest Gump.
No, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah. Michael Rappaport was in there, obviously. The dude from Lost, as you mentioned earlier. There's just cool little ones like that kind of pop up. And then there's a few recognizable actors from different things that pop up throughout the show, too. It's pretty rad.
Nice.
So without spoiling a lot, you get a lot of backstory for different things. Obviously, they really expand on things, keep things very canon. They obviously the area we're in is a new area, Los Angeles. Never been in any of the games. You get for those who obviously have played the games, you get a lot of references and you get a lot of things. But because this is a new area, you don't have a lot of already existing landmarks that they're dealing with. Later in the show, there is mention of a very popular landmark. And then you get, like I said, you get backstory on the ghouls, you get backstory on the Brotherhood. They kind of expand on those things. They expand on the vaults. At the beginning, more of just the vault that you're coming out of 33, but then later on, when you start going to the flashbacks of Vault Tech beginning and before the bombs drop, you get more of the history of Vault Tech and the vaults themselves, and then you find out exactly what caused the bombs to drop.
Okay.
Which is pretty rad.
Which is good, because I've always wondered that in the games. Obviously, it probably does tell you somewhere in some weird book or lore or anything. No? You're
Nope.
shaking your head no? Doesn't tell you?
Nope. That's why everyone's like, what the hell?
Myself, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's pretty
what
ridiculous.
caused the bombs to drop? Obviously it was some sort of war, but like, over what or why or this? Yeah. So that will be interesting to see.
Yep. It's pretty fun. They actually expand on character backstory, which is something you get a little bit of in the games, but not specifics, because because you are a vault survivor, vaulty, what do you want to call them? So that you kind of like you're building your own story, and there's a little bit of lore of like your vault, and obviously in this one you get that too. But then you get more of the character stories and things like that. It's pretty fun. And revelations and things like that happen as well, which is good because, you again, it's the thing about the way I felt about it is by the end of the first season, you feel like you are playing a new game, and you get to experience all these things and all the little side quests and how the story is not always just a linear thing, and all these different things and fun little happenstances and new characters that get thrown in for different things and the origin of certain types of characters, because they're really kind of expanding on the world itself, versus just just make some stuff up and kind of like they're giving you the actual world building and lore that you won't always get in the game, but helps expand the world of the games. And then the fact that this story takes place 7 years after the bomb, or after Fallout 3.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Let me see if I can find the timeline again.
I don't think if I've ever heard exactly where this falls within the timeline. I've only heard people argue about whether or not the ending of this validates or discredits Fallout New Vegas as being a part of the lore. And Todd Howard had come out and said, no, it's all canon. But I think that confuses people because
people were confused about that at the end of this season.
Yeah, there's been a few articles that I haven't read because obviously I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but because New Vegas apparently has like 3 different endings, and Todd Howard is kind of I think he's trolling people to be honest with a little bit, because he's gone out and stated no, all 3 endings are canon, and it's like, well, how can you have 3 canon endings?
Because they're not actual endings.
With this, people were saying, well, the way that this show ends contradicts the endings of Fallout New Vegas, but Todd Howard has said no, this is canon and New Vegas is canon. But then what's funny is last night I was watching something, and the creator of the original Fallout series had basically come out and said that he agrees with Todd Howard, and the thing that you have to remember is that every single game has an unreliable narrator. So basically, we don't really know the full truth of what's going on.
Because you play differently, and the games change how you play.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so this is the timeline. So the bombs drop in 2077, obviously in an alternate reality where Nixon is president and so on and so forth. Wars have gone a little differently. Then in 2102 is when Fallout 76 occurs. Fallout 1 happens in 2161. Fallout Tactics happens in 2197. Fallout 2 takes place in 2241 or 2241. Fallout 3 happens in 2277. Fallout New Vegas happens in 2281. Fallout 4 happens in 2087, and then the Fallout series happens in 2096.
Okay.
And so it goes through, and there's reasons why there's certain things mentioned in the show that are references to the game, but also have to do with the story of the show. That's why they're mentioning it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think people are they're not good at paying attention to things.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they're not trying to steep it so it's basically all just you have to play the games to understand what's going on.
Right.
they're giving it the ability to build on it, build the lore out, but also explain things as it goes on. Because again, this is a different story in the world of Fallout. The show just happens to tell you more about the actual lore that you don't get, because you don't get flashbacks per se in the games. You get holotapes that play. You get story elements from journals and stuff that you find. But the show has the ability to tell the story from different timelines, and that's what it does. And it's very well done, if you ask me. But it's quite fun to watch, and it does make me angry when people are like, "This doesn't make sense." I'm like, there's in all Fallout games, there's different things that happen depending on what you do. New Vegas has different endings, but there's only one that's a story ending. So you have to do things to unlock the other ones. So that's the thing. But also, not spoiling it. Well, it's not going to spoil anything for the show. But like, that character doesn't exist right now. Like, the years just, they're not there. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, I mean, I don't know. People are stupid. And they're like, that didn't happen in my playthrough. It's like, dude, that's your playthrough. That's not what this is about. We're not watching your character. Drives me insane.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fun time. And it's very enjoyable. And they, there's little things like like the whole reason why the logo for Fallout is that dude with the one eye closed holding his thumb up. And then people are like, "Well, is that the reason why?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like, that's always been a thing."
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel, Kyle Hill, that did a whole episode about that in particular thing, because the idea in the show they introduced in like episode 2, I think it is, when they do introduce the ghoul, is that if to determine if you're a safe distance away from a nuclear explosion, if you can put your arm out at arm's length and your thumb covers the explosion, you're a safe distance away. But if it doesn't, then you probably should run. So that's the lore that they built into the Vault Tech. What do they call him? I can't remember what that character's name is. The Pit Boy, whatever the Vault Tech logo guy is. But his episode was basically like, you're probably still too close. In fact, if we do these simulations here, if we look at angles and this and that, you would still be too close to an explosion, even if you did have a thumb raised out and it indicated that you were far enough away. You'd probably still be too close, because the heat radiation is not the actual radiation itself, the heat, the thermal energy of the blast reaches out very far.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that line is funny. His daughter's like, "Is it your thumb or my thumb?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's a good point.
It is a good point. And then the other bombs hit, and you're like, I don't think it actually matters.
Matter now.
Especially because the last one we see, is like literally right off literally right there.
Yeah, like
and
the
I'm
first
like,
one,
oh.
she puts her thumb out, and it's just covering it. And then as they hopped on the horse and they're going down the hill, and you're like, well, that one, no one's thumb is covering right now. Yeah, which would be interesting to see how they explain how he became a ghoul and what happened to his daughter. I can only imagine, because it's also been whatever hundreds of years after the explosions that obviously he's not doing too well, and she probably didn't do too well either.
Yeah, it's they don't they do give you some of his backstory. But they don't tell you how he became a ghoul.
Oh, they don't.
But they do explain how somebody becomes a ghoul.
Gotcha. So you can infer what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
And like I said, you actually get interaction with other ghouls in it. Not just like, oh, there's a ghoul there and whatever. There's more to it than that. It's pretty interesting.
I do like how they introduced him. Like he's just a living corpse inside of a coffin. He gets dug up, and there's the three characters, and two of them are just like, if he goes for the chicken, that means he's a feral ghoul, and we got to put him down in this. And you can just see throughout the whole entire episode, he's just like flicking his eyes back and forth between them and the chicken. And it's like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on?
Yep.
So good. The only other thing I have here, just a real quick thing.
Yep.
Because I thought it was kind of odd. Do you remember the old arcade game Golden Axe?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, apparently Cartoon Network, Comedy Central, greenlit a cartoon based off of it.
Yep. I saw that and I was like, I don't know why.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought process too. I remember playing bits of it back in the day. I don't remember much of a storyline along with it. I've seen it pop up here and there over the years because, people are able to do emulations and whatnot. Which, by the way, I did download that Nintendo emulator just to see it. And then it was like, yeah, but you got to put your own ROMs in it. And I was like, oh, yeah. I figured it would have just come with, like, somebody's, homebrew game. But it doesn't come with anything. And now it's like, well, maybe I'll check it out to see how to get a hold of legal ROMs, people. Not illegal ones.
Legal ROMs.
Legal ROMs. Maybe somebody's homebrew of a game somewhere. I don't know. Apparently, what's the website? I think it was called. There's some sort of archive, internet archive. I think it might be the Internet Archive. Whatever it is, does have some ROMs on there that are legal to download and play in this manner. But I haven't looked into it yet. I'll do that over the next couple weeks. But yeah, I'm trying to. So the animated show is getting a 10-episode first season. Features a voice cast filled with the likes of Danny Pudi from Community, Carl Tart from Grand Crew. I have no idea what that is. Grand Crew. It says RIP here. This is on Engadget's website. And the Comedy Bang Bang podcast universe. Also stars Matthew Rice from The Americans, Perry Mason, and comedian Lisa Gilroy. From this, it sounds like obviously a lot of the cast is funny people, as we should say. So it seems like that's what they're aiming for, is more of a comedy-based show. Which I don't know. I guess Golden Axe was kind of funny in a way. I don't know.
Goofy,
yeah, maybe that's a better explanation for it. I'm trying to find here if I can't remember who's producing it and whatnot.
Yeah, I didn't read the whole thing. I just saw it.
So interestingly, several big Sega names are also involved with the show, including Haruki Satomi, Shuki Utsumi, and Toru Nakahara, the latter being largely responsible for shepherding the Sonic the Hedgehog cinematic universe. The plot looks appropriately zany, as there wasn't much of a story in the old arcade cabinets. Okay, yeah. The show bills itself as hilarious and loving homage to Sega's 1989 video game series. It follows several warriors as they attempt to save the realm from franchise antagonist Death Adder. So this will be interesting to see how it comes out. And I don't think they. No, that was just a commentary. Yeah, I don't think they've shown any type of what the animation looks like or whatnot. So I don't know. I'll maybe watch the first episode at least just to see how this is. I don't have any type of like, like I'm gonna watch Fallout because I've played a shit ton of Fallout games and I like the Fallout universe. But Golden Axe is one of those things that I know about, I've played, and I don't really think about. And then they're like, well, let's make a show out of it. It's like, well, I guess I'll check it out to see how it is. But that's it. That's all I had for.
It's fair. So I was trying to look it up because I remember when you were talking earlier about the endings for Fallout New Vegas. There's a general ending, and then there's faction endings. But within the faction endings, depending on your neutrality, good, bad, neutral, whatever, I think there's like 27 different endings.
But is it like there's a main ending and just like this also happened type of ending? Because if I recall right, that's how that game ends. Like you have the main ending, and then it's like, oh, because you did this, this also happened. This because you did this also happened. So I can see there, being 27, like
possible things you could get.
Possible things that you could get, but there's still being like only like I think they said 3 different main endings.
There's 4.
And I wanted to point out real quick about the Golden Axe thing. It premieres April 26th on Paramount Plus.
Oh, okay. So soon.
Wait, am I reading that right? No.
If you are, that means it's next week. So.
No, this is. I hate when they do this. Another Knuckles premieres.
Oh yeah, Knuckles
April
does.
26th. So there is no release date for this.
Okay, because I remember saying they just like it just got a thing, and I was like, well, it
just
seems
got a
fast.
thing. That's why I was like, I read the date and I was like, wait, that's literally 6 days from today. That can't be right. No, if you read the whole sentence, it says Knuckles premieres April 26th. So anyway.
Yeah. So in Fallout New Vegas, there's an ending you get. It's a general ending, and then depending on the faction that wins, there's one of 4 factions, and then within those factions, each of those factions have a multiple different endings you can get depending on which way it goes for that faction and what your leaning is of good or bad or neutral, or this person dies or that person doesn't die or whatever it happens to be. There's a lot of different ones, and they're not really endings. They're just like, it's not like New Vegas gets nuked off the map, at the end or whatever. It's basically just this faction falls. But by the time we're joining the story of Fallout in the show, none of that matters because A, you're not in New Vegas, but also it's years later. Like, it's 229 years after the bombs dropped when Ellie leaves the vault. So, like, things have changed quite a bit. And that's the only, like, I don't know. I keep seeing these fucking videos where people are, like, talking about stuff, and I'm like, I just don't understand why it even matters. Because if you watch the show, it gives you all the information you need to understand the world of Fallout without ever having to touch a video game. But if you've played the games, it enriches the story that you already know, not the story you played, but the story and the lore of the world of Fallout and the Wastelands. And that's what is interesting to me, that people are so and then people are trying to like mansplain things to people who didn't ever play the game. It's like, bro, if you like post-apocalyptic fantasy stuff, you're gonna dig Fallout because it's ridiculous. And then you're gonna find out about all these things. It's like, they're also not gonna try to cram all of these like 11 games worth of content into one season,
right?
Because they're playing the long game. I'm not saying this is like gonna be stretched out for like 8 seasons, but like a good handful of seasons would be well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're doing. I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, me too so far.
I thought I had saved this, but apparently I did not. So I had to look it up while you were looking or talking about earlier. So we have new information on the Alien TV show that's coming to FX on Hulu. So the show is called Alien, which should tell you a little something about it. Now it does have to do, but doesn't have to do with the Fede Alvarez Alien Romulus, because it's in the world of, but it takes place in a different time. So, like I said, it has to do with it, but not directly, like because it's all in the same world. So the title is simply called Alien. Like I said earlier, the plot is, the details we have right now is, the new series is a prequel to every iteration of the franchise so far, taking place in the year 2089. That's about 4 years before Prometheus, and is 30 years before Ridley Scott's first film, Alien. Unlike previous films, it will take place on Earth. It deals with the emergence of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, often referred to as the Company, in the later parts of the century. Weyland-Yutani will be pioneering android intelligence, as we saw with Ash in the original film, and then Bishop in the James Cameron Aliens. Showrunner Noah Hawley has stated the race between corporations to create new android life will largely be the focus of the series, but given that the title of the show is Alien, the actual xenomorph have to be turned up some point within the show. But essentially, this show is the
origins of
the
the
origin.
Yutani.
Yeah. So like we're gonna get more of that, like obviously the corporation itself, and obviously if since we now know Prometheus and Covenant are canon stories, but just like obviously like again it's in a world that we already have, but like doesn't take place in the same places. You know what I mean? Yeah. We will most likely see more of the android portion of it, obviously, and like Alien, because it's called Alien, so there's got to be an alien there. But also because we know what happened in Prometheus is the fact that like somehow the xenomorph is a weaponized life form that was sent to this planet by in Covenant we know that David is responsible for the events that happened in Covenant, but in the events of Prometheus, the ship that crash lands that they go to in the first Alien movie that's its origin point is there. Now we're going to get the origin point of what David's mission stems from, because we're going to be at Weyland-Yutani, and as obviously, if you remember the events of Prometheus in Covenant, Weyland-Yutani is the kind of the catalyst for all of it. They're what set that forth. Now, will we get the origin of the xenomorph itself?
I don't think so.
Probably not, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting when I saw that this morning. I was like, oh shit, it's going to be on Earth, and it's going to be about the androids and Weyland-Yutani's corporation, and obviously the scumbaggery that they go through to do the things that they did.
It'll be definitely interesting to see. As a huge fan of the Alien series, and even slight enjoyer of Prometheus and Covenant, I will be interested to see where this goes. I just don't know how to feel about it. If it's not something that's more focused on the aliens themselves, but focused on Weyland-Yutani's creation of the androids. You know.
I mean, obviously we'll have to wait
it'll be
see,
interesting.
But, yeah.
I mean, at least if it leads directly into Prometheus was the first one? The first of the prequels?
So, yeah, Prometheus.
Yeah. obviously, Wayland Yutani was a sponsor of it.
I mean,
So it'll be interesting to maybe see. Maybe we don't get exactly a xenomorph in it, because at this point in time they really don't exist. It's kind of David's creation. But it will be at least interesting to see, because obviously Wayland Yutani is aware of the biological weapon. So how are they aware of it? Or I shouldn't say maybe of the biological weapon, but at least of the engineers. So how they are aware of the engineers and what they are will be interesting to see.
yeah, because there's this morning when I read that, I was like, I'm gonna go look and see if anybody else has information. So obviously I jumped on to like Wikipedia and stuff, and the main cast, an actress named Sydney Chandler plays Wendy, and her description of their character is what really got me like, what the fuck is this show really going to be delving into? Not like a bad way, like what the fuck, like what are they going to do? Her description is as Wendy, so Sydney Chandler as Wendy, a woman who has the body of an adult and the consciousness of a child. So obviously she's some kind of android.
Yes.
And is obviously in the development of those. And then Timothy Olyphant plays Kirsch, Wendy's synth mentor and trainer.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what actually that means, but I'm down.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool. And there's like a Alex Lothar as CJ, a soldier. Samuel Belkin as Boy Cavalier, a CEO. And then there's different like there's no real descriptions on anybody except for Wendy and Kirsch. And Kirsch is very limited. It says Wendy's synth mentor and trainer.
Okay.
So it's interesting, to say the least. And obviously is, being expanded on within there, but we're still waiting for obviously trailers, but I think the release date right now is like set for like next year. So like even this is like, we're way too early to figure out exactly what's happening, but it's very interesting to see that they're going on a route that we all did not know was happening, because it's obviously Alien, but it has to do more with the Wayland portion, which if we go by like the Alien versus Predator stuff, also they even delve into alien artifacts, because like Wayland Yutani we know didn't create the xenomorphs,
Right.
but it doesn't mean they didn't weaponize it, because obviously we know that David, his mission in Covenant, after we leave him in as just a head in Prometheus, he is now spreading a new version of it in Covenant, because that's what like his mission was, or that's what he thought his mission was supposed to be, whatever happens to be. But it'll be interesting to see where.
Ignore the fact that you brought in Alien versus Predator into this.
Well, I was saying because obviously like they brought up the Wayland Yutani Corporation in that.
True.
I mean, I don't like to seek those, because they were piss poor movies in general, when they could have been super badass action movies.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we fall on the petard of, hey, let's have squishy humans involved. It's like, did you not watch Alien or Aliens or even Alien 3 by that stretch? Like, the humans are not the focal point. If you make them the focal point, your movie fails.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have like maybe one who's decently survives, but even then doesn't actually survive, a la Alien Resurrection, because she's a clone who's pregnant. Spoiler, I guess, for a movie that's fucking like 30 years old now.
Let's not include that one either. I'm okay with including Alien 3, but 4, I just would like to forget, and Alien versus Predator I would like to forget as well.
There's 2 Alien vs. Predator.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to forget the franchise.
That's fun.
Sure.
Was there anything else that I saw? Oh, I sent you guys something else, didn't I?
Well, you sent us that trailer. Did you ever end up watching it?
I did, yeah.
Trap.
Trap, yeah, I watched it.
Um,
Links.
Look, the first half of that trailer, like I said, I didn't watch it when you texted it to me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't really care.
I told you what
but
it
I
was.
ended up watching it on YouTube just because it was playing as an ad, and I was like, okay, this is that movie Trapped.
It's called Trap, by the way.
Trap. Sorry, Trap.
Yeah, get your shit right.
I'm sorry. I didn't know it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. The first half of it looked pretty good. It was very interesting. Basically, we start off with a dad and his daughter. He's taken his daughter to a very famous singer's concert. Funnily enough, even though it's a female singer, the set of it kind of looked like a Harry Styles' house a little bit. I thought was kind of funny.
That's because you don't know very much about Taylor.
I don't. I'm just saying from my references.
Yep, go ahead.
I don't know much about Harry Styles either, but at least I did watch that one concert that he did. And there was a house in it. I guess she does have a house as well. I do remember seeing somewhere some elaborate set that she had somewhere. Anyway.
Yep.
The father at one point has to go, which, by the way, I was sitting there going, is that Josh Hartnett?
It is Josh Hartnett.
I've movie in a long time. Is that really him? And sure enough, it is him.
Yep.
He did one other movie before this, but there was that period of time where he just like took some time off and just disappeared. And he comes out, and so far it's still very interesting, still very mysterious. And you see a bunch of like, it cuts to a bunch of like SWAT vehicles pulling up, and a lot of police officers by doors and preventing people from leaving, and this and that. And he leans into a concession worker.
Merch guy.
And he's the merch guy. He's like, hey, what's going on? The merch guy's like, well, I'm not supposed to tell you. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but this whole thing was a trap. Because apparently there's some serial killer. I forgot the name of
the Butcher.
The Butcher, original name. Who they believed would fall into this trap for some reason and be here at the performance tonight. And so the police are here to capture him. And then Hartnett's face kind of like goes a little dark. And at first I'm thinking like, okay, so maybe we have like a sudden death type movie here. Sudden Death, if you don't know, is an old Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where basically I don't remember what he was, if he was like a retired policeman, fireman, or something like that. But basically he's at a hockey game and he finds out there's a terrorist thing going on. He basically has to stop the terrorists stuff from happening. I think there was the vice president that was at the game or something, and there was a threat on him. Anyway, so I'm thinking like, okay, so we have some sort of like sudden death type thing that the Butcher's there, and in order to protect his daughter, he's kind of, going to have to find him and take him out or this or that. And then it slowly introduces that, no, he is the killer. And he's kind of, trapped there. And I'm just like, well, you lost me now. Because if you've already revealed that he's the killer, what's the twist here? What's the hook that's going to make me watch this movie? Because the person that I was about to like is the guy I shouldn't like, so why should I care if he gets trapped or not? So that's my problem with the trailer. It could be that it comes out and is something totally different, but right now, for what you showed me, I'm like, you had me, and then you lost me, because I don't care if the bad guy gets capped. I don't care that how does that work? I want him to get captured.
Why? Maybe he's a good serial killer.
Not. I mean, Dexter is the only good serial killer.
Oh, is he? Oh, he's the one.
I mean, he's the only one I know of, and I never even watched Dexter, so I don't care.
That's
You're a
fair.
serial killer. You're a killer. You're a killer. Whatever. Anyway, so that's my thought on that trailer. That I plan on not watching the movie.
I probably won't see it in theaters, but I will probably watch it when it comes out, depending on what it is. So, couple cool things about it. Not that the movie looks any good, because I actually agree with you quite a bit. Is like the trailer. There's two parts of the trailer that actually bother me a lot. Right. One is, that merch dude probably shouldn't know all that stuff.
Definitely, that was one problem that I had with it.
But also, like, he just casually walks away from all those people trying to get merch to talk to this guy for like 5 minutes.
Right. You think that merch guy would really be like, "Hey, man, what's up?"
Yeah.
Instead of just like, "No, fucking get in line. I'm busy."
Now, in the movie, we could get a thing where, like, Josh Hartnett's character, whatever his actual name is,
the merch guy or something,
or as basically is like he's talked to several people and no one said anything. He finally goes to him and is like, "Hey, bud, like, what's going on?" or whatever. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It was a dumb thing. It was like a weird way to push the plot, which doesn't seem like a very clever way of doing it. Because why would that guy know all about it if it's supposed to be some trap?
Exactly.
Anywho, the other thing that bothered me about the trailer is the fact that, like, standing in that crowded area, he pops his phone out and watches the video of the guy trapped at his house.
In a basement.
Yeah, I was like, you're not even trying to hide at this point? Anyways, whatever. I was like, okay. But the one thing I thought was interesting about it is Lady Raven, who is the pop star that he's there with his daughter to go see, is actually played by M. Night Shyamalan's real daughter, Seleka Shalaman, who is a real life pop star in our actual reality.
That's cool.
And she is a singer songwriter lady. I don't know if her concerts are that elaborate or that popular, but it just happens the fact that, like, might as well use and promote your daughter's stuff and make it look like she's probably bigger than she is. But yeah, the premise, again from Wikipedia, which is basically says a serial killer dubbed the Butcher, air quotes, joins his daughter at a concert for pop star Lady Raven, but the Butcher realizes the concert is a trap set by the police to catch him.
So the other problem that I have with all that too is, like, why is this a trap? Why did they know that this concert would attract him? Like, I guess there could be other things in there that explain it. Maybe he does only kill people at concerts, which would be a really weird thing, but it could happen.
But also, listen. So if that's the reason why they set this trap and it works, whatever, right? Aren't you also just feeding all these innocent people to potentially be a butcher victim?
Yes.
That's like, hey, we know this guy who dresses up like a clown. We don't know actually his name, but we know he gets victims from birthday parties. Let's just throw an elaborate one to catch him.
Yeah.
And hopefully we do, because we don't know anything about him other than the fact that he likes to dress up as a clown and go to kids' birthday parties.
I mean, unless they had a decent description of him to begin with, that analogy is pretty accurate. Because what are you going to do, especially in your clown incident? Like, okay, no one got killed in this party, so let's hire a different clown and see if somebody gets killed at that party.
Yeah, it's like,
and
what
just keep going until you find the clown that kills somebody. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing? Like, unless you have a good description of what the killer looks like and what the butcher looks like, what is your plan? Just wait until he tries to kill someone to capture him?
And the merch guy says they're going to be searching everybody. Like, what are you searching him for? Do you think he's going to have a fucking hatchet with him?
Right. Like, he's going to have a butcher knife with him, and you're just going to be like, Butcher!
Yeah, it's like, it's like you can't lawfully go through everyone's phone.
No.
Like, so, like, what are you going to do? Like, I don't know. I watched it and I was like, okay. Yeah. I don't understand any of this. I mean, obviously the trailer, so like we're not, they're misleading us somehow or whatever, right? And they're not going to tell us exactly.
They have to be. But, that's why I would hope they would be. But everything that I saw just felt like, no, they just gave me the plot.
Oh, and also watching that trailer at the end of it, I was like, I don't actually care about this.
Again, yeah, like I got to the end, and had you made me sit there and question whether or not Hartnett's character is the killer or not, it'd be a little bit more interesting. But you basically just said, no, he is the killer. How does he get out of this situation? I'm like, I hope he doesn't. But what do you want me to say? Like, I hope he doesn't. What is this going to be a show about him, like, his daughter realizing that he's a serial killer and trying to come to grips with that? I don't give a shit. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it was very, I don't know. It just, after you sent that, and I was like, oh, I guess I should probably watch this trailer, and it popped up as an option to watch, not as an ad for me, but, I was like, oh, here it is, and I clicked on it, I watched it, and I was at the end, and Paige looked at me and goes, what the fuck was that? And I was like, yeah, I don't even have an explanation for you. I don't have, like, an excuse to, like, oh, but what of this? It just made no sense because, like, it just seems so convoluted, but also, like, so unreal. Like, Are you telling me the police and the FBI set up this thing with thousands of potential victims and, like, casualties to catch this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was like, okay. M. Night, you might have overstepped your bounds on this one.
Yeah.
You just basically designed a movie around getting your daughter on stage.
I guess. That'd be a real weird plot twist.
The twist is, the pop star is the butcher.
And you know what? That could be it. Like I said, like you said too, we could be misled here. But literally from what you showed me, I have no interest in watching it.
Thank you.
You did the opposite of what a trailer should be doing, is drawing me into it. Instead, you drew me away from it because it feels like you gave me the plot. Even if it isn't the plot.
You gave me a shitty plot.
Whoever cut this trailer looked at this and went, no, this is good. But it's not.
You were incorrect.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Yeah.
And you should be ashamed of yourself.
Keep me guessing. Don't outright insinuate who the killer is. Just leave me guessing on it. And that's why I want to watch the movie.
But if it
ends up being just Josh Hartnett, fine. But lead me on. Make me think it is him. It's not him. It's this person. It's this person over here. I actually wouldn't be happy, but I'd almost be happier if they just, suddenly revealed, haha, it was just this random person all the time. It was the janitor that we never introduced. And it's like, that would be more of a twist than just giving me the fact that it's Josh Hartnett in the trailer.
You introduce him, but you introduce him because, like, he's a janitor.
He's just, like, standing there and his eyes are shifting back and forth, and you're like...
He just ends up being behind every main scene, like he's just in the background.
Yes, right? Like, that's more of
mopping
an
with a
awesome
dry mop
twist than just outright telling me that Josh Hartnett's the killer, and how's the killer get away? I don't give a fuck. I hope he gets captured.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, ugh, okay. I don't understand any of this, and I don't like how it works, so good for you guys. That's it for this week's episode.
That's all I got.
Okay. That has been Comes Naturally. We have been
Joe,
Ivan, Cody, and as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.